Good evening, my beautiful brothers and sisters in Yeshua. It is Thursday, the 21st of March 2024. It is 10:06 p.m. here in Australia. I hope you're well and I hope you've been blessed. I did a video earlier today and it was too full on for YouTube, so if you go and have a look at the video previous to this one, there's a link to go and watch it on Odyssey. Please go check that out. It's pretty cool. But I just come across some other things that I just want to share with you quickly before I do a reading of 2nd Esdras, because this is going to blow your mind. Okay, so the first couple of things I want to talk about, brothers and sisters, is this solar eclipse, okay? The other day I was checking out Stellarium and I had a look at basically on Stellarium here, and it's like the moon is right in the middle of the sun, and this is the area of Texas here. So I made it in the United States, not in Australia, and it's on the 9th. Okay, and I saw this like a week or a week and a half ago, and I'm like, I went through all the cities, and I'm like, it looks like the eclipse is going to be happening on the 9th, and I sort of didn't think anything of it until I came across this TikTok this morning, and I just want to share it with you because I want to talk to you about it afterwards.
People are talking about the eclipse, but they're not talking about this. The sun and the moon are not aligned on April 8th. They are in Pisces. Right now, if you go to your Skyview app and you push forward to April 8th, plug it in, it will show you that the sun and the moon are in Pisces. They are not aligned. They are sitting beside each other, but they are not aligned. How is that possible? Because the sun and the moon have been out of place since back in September 2023. I've been doing these videos telling you that the sun is not where it should be. People are telling me it's the calendar. The calendar's off. Don't worry about it. It's where the sun is in the sky that's different. It's not where it should be. This eclipse is showing you that I am telling you the truth. Because if we see an eclipse on April 8th, how is that possible? If the sun and the moon are in Pisces, it can't be an Aries eclipse, right? If the sun is in Pisces, and if the sun and the moon are not aligned, they have to be aligned in order for you to see an eclipse, correct? So I don't have to be a fucking astrophysicist to understand this, and neither do you. I'm trying to get this out to as many people as I can. Please share this because, I mean, this is just a no-brainer. These heavenly bodies are changing. They are not where they should be. And they damn sure will not show you an eclipse in the sky if they are not aligned.
Okay, so that's amazing. Okay, so she's like saying that they're not aligned, and it's not, because they're calling it an Aryan eclipse, okay? And as you can see here, it's in Pisces. Okay, so something is very, very wrong with this eclipse, okay? And I've done videos last year where I looked right into, because it didn't make any sense to me when you look at a solar eclipse and they say, oh, you know, it's the moon and the sun is at equal distance from the earth and all this rubbish. And I'm like, well, how come you don't see the moon before and after the eclipse? Like, where is it? What is it that's actually eclipsing the sun, right? And I looked into it, I did a video, and I was like, is it possibly Mercury? Now, it could be a whole heap of things, and it could also be the, the sun and the moon projections. Anyway, that's not really what I want to talk to you about tonight, but there's something really bizarre about this, because about 3 or 4 videos ago, I did a video on the Camp of the Saints, okay, which I believe is in the North Pole. And when you have a look at the Camp of the Saints and you start researching all that kind of stuff, like I said in many of my videos now, the geomagnetic North Pole has been shifting. It's gone from Canada in 2017 and it's going towards Siberia in Russia. Now, when I was researching all of this and looking into it, I came across this article about Sun's magnetic pole will flip in 2024. And here's what it means. And it goes down, there's an article saying that, you know, while the Earth last reversal happened in around 780,000 years ago. Okay, so apparently 780,000 years ago, the sun's polar magnetic poles, they flipped. Okay, and then you come down here, and then it says predicted that this year's pole reversal, which will likely happen between April and August. Okay, and I'm like, what is going on with this eclipse? It's not on the right day. Nothing, the sun and the moon have just been so incredibly weird. I did a whole thing about the sun being phosphorus. It's not yellow like it used to be when we grew up. It's now white, hot, and phosphorus, and it's burning people and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so as I was thinking about this article, there's this another YouTube, TikTok video that I want you to see now, and this is about the sun rising in the west. Okay, because we know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But have a listen to this.
I went to public school, so before you come for me, if I make any mistakes in this video, watch your mouth. I am very sensitive about my art. What is this? To my understanding, if I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments. This is a compass. The compass points to the magnetic north, which emulates in a way the North Star. But that's not the only thing that we go through celestially to know where we're at. And this is where I'm going with this. Check this out. Now, when we look at the map, where are we on the map? America. If I'm correct, am I correct to say that we are in the west of the map? That the whole United States of America is on the west. And then when you break out the United States of America, California is the west coast, right? And New York is the east coast. Am I correct? And everything along the shoreline of New York is the east coast, and everything along the shoreline of California is the west coast. And, from the middle out. So, we understand that the sun rises east, right? Like the North Star points north, the sun rises east, right? Check this. Every day, the sun, moon, planets, and stars appear to rise in the east, and they set in the west. Actually, these celestial bodies aren't moving that fast, but the earth is blah, blah, blah. This is for you globers and thinking that we're hurtling through space. But I'm talking about the movement of the celestial bodies, right? So we have this eclipse coming on April 8th. And if you notice on the eclipse, that the eclipse starts down in New Mexico, Texas area. But the sun rises on the east. The sun rises on the east. On this side of the map, the sun comes up on this side of the world, right? Right? Am I correct? If the sun rises on the east, and this is west and east, the sun will be rising on this side of the map. Am I correct to say that, right? But the sun is not rising here. Well, it is. I don't know if it is or not, because at 1:43 Eastern time, the sun is going to start taking this path, right? And so at 2:43, it's going to be right here where I'm pointing my finger, and it's going to be at its point of totality with the moon, where it's going to be blacked out. And then it's going to keep making its way east. How is the sun that rises east and sets west going from west to east? Am I correct or am I wrong to say this is all I want to know? This is for entertainment purposes. This is for educational purposes. This is for understanding purposes. This is just,
Okay, so I want you to take note of what he's saying here, and this is so bizarre. He's saying that the eclipse is going from the west to the east. So straight away in my mind, something that's been, I've remembered for years and years and years, is there's an Islamic prophecy that says that the final hours will come when the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. Okay, so this is it here. The Muslim sunrise is a channel. The meaning of the prophecy: the sun shall rise from the west. And then it goes on to say that we're discussing the last hour, and the prophet said, "It shall not come to pass until you see these 10 signs." And then he proceeded to mention the smoke, the Antichrist, the beast, the rising of the sun from the west. Okay, so that's always stuck in my mind that there's going to be a sunrise that comes from the west to the east. And when you think about this eclipse, like I said, they're talking about this sun's magnetic poles will flip in 2024 in between April and August. I'm like, okay, something is seriously going on with this eclipse. Okay, and like I said, when I showed you on Stellarium, it's on the 9th, not on the 8th. So something is like when you go to the 8th, see the sun is, the moon is eclipsing, I think that's Venus there. Venus. Okay, that's on the 8th. So you can see here the 8th. And this is in Texas, so in America, effectively where this eclipse is supposed to be. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. And, something's crazy going on with this eclipse. Now, what I wanted to do a reading for you tonight is 2nd Esdras. And the reason I want to read 2nd Esdras chapter 13 to you is I was just watching from Understanding Conspiracy. It's called It Feels Like We're Missing a Book. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant channel. Please go over and subscribe to him. And basically he's talking about, because he's like onto this millennial reign happening in the past, Matthew 24 happening in the past thing. And he's talking about we're in, Satan's little season, which to me makes 100% sense. So I'm watching this and he's talking about, how Genesis 6 talks about the giants, there's giants in those days and then afterwards. And then that's all it really mentions. And you're like, hang on, hold up. Where's the extra information about this? Is pretty epic, And so then we've got books like the Book of Enoch, which sort of elaborates greatly on the giants and things like this. And he was sort of referring it to Revelation 20, where it just talks about, Satan's loosed for a little season, and then it sort of just brushes over it. And you're like, hang on, where there's got to be another book that expands on what happens in this little season and all this kind of stuff, right? So with that being said, I'm just browsing through the comments and I came to this comment down here. Hopefully it's still highlighted. Yeah. This comment down here, and it says Paul, that's the creator's name. Have you read 2nd Esdras from the Apocrypha? It very much seems to be talking about this season, specifically chapter 13. Now, I love, 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 love the second book of Esdras because it talks about Yeshua Jesus Christ as the Son of God and that people are saved because they believe in God's Son. And, they tell other people in the world about God's Son, and because of that, they get crowns, and Jesus is putting crowns on their head. The second book of Esdras is beautiful. But when I read this, I went and read chapter 13 again, and I want to read it to you, brothers and sisters, and tell me not that this does not sound like an elaboration of the little season and what's going to happen with, the camp of the saints and things like this. As you can, if you watched my last video that I did, the one that I linked to Odyssey because it was a bit too full on for YouTube, you'll see that I was talking and making mention of, it's possible that NASA's massive billion-trillion-dollar budget that they have is actually for the creation of the weapons to go against the camp of the saints, right? And, the second book of Esdras talks about a city that's hidden that will be revealed in the end times. And I'm like, wow, what if that is like the whole alien deception? Telling us that we've got an alien invasion coming, but what if it's really the New Jerusalem or the camp of the saints or the Garden of Eden? What if that is hidden within the ice walls or somewhere in the north, Siberia and all that, and then it's going to become visible? And, this is what the trillions and billions of dollars is being used by NASA to create these weapons of mass destruction. This is what they're actually gathering the nations from the four corners of the earth to come and battle against this day. Now, with that being said, I'm going to read you chapter 13 of 2nd Esdras. And listen to this. After 7 days I dreamed a dream in the night, and lo, a wind rose from the sea and stirred up all of its waves. As I kept looking, the wind made something like a figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. And I saw that this man flew with a cloud of heavens. And, excuse me for a sec, I'll start again. And as I kept looking, the wind made something like a figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. And I saw that this man flew with the clouds of heaven. And wherever he turned his face to look, everything under his gaze trembled. And whenever his voice issued from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted as wax melts, and when it feels the fire. After this I looked and saw that an innumerable multitude of people were gathered together from the four winds of heaven to make war against the man who came up out of the sea. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. And I looked and saw that he carved out for himself a great mountain. Is that the Rupus Niger? You know, the Great Black Mountain where we get the compass from, right? Magnetic Mountain. And I looked and I saw, and he carved out for himself a great mountain and flew up onto it. And I tried to see the region or the place from which the mountain was carved, but I could not. After this, I looked and saw that all who had gathered together against him to wage war with him were filled with fear, and yet they dared to fight. When he saw the onrush of the approaching multitude, he neither lifted his hand nor held a spear or any weapon of war, but I saw only how he sent forth from his mouth something like a stream of fire, and from his lips a flaming breath, and from his tongue he shot forth a storm of sparks. All these things mingled together, the stream of fire and the flaming breath and the great storm, and it fell upon the onrushing multitude that was preparing to fight, and burned them all up, so that suddenly nothing was seen of the innumerable multitude, but only the dust of the ashes and the smell of the smoke. When I saw it, I was amazed. After this I saw the same man come down from the mountain and called to himself another multitude of called himself another multitude that was peaceable. Then many people came to him, some of whom were joyful and some sorrowful, some of them were bound, and some were bringing others as offerings. This is the interpretation of the vision. Then I woke up in a great terror and prayed to the Most High and said, From the beginning you have showed your servants these wonders and have deemed me worthy to have my prayer heard by you. Now show me the interpretation of this dream also. For as I consider it in my mind, alas, for those who will be left in those days, and still more, alas, for those who are not left. For those who are not left will be sad, because they understand the things that are reserved for the last days, but cannot attain them. But alas, for those who are left, and for those who and for that very reason, for they shall see great dangers and much distress, as these dreams show. Yet it is better to come into these things through incurring peril than to pass from the world like a cloud, and to not see what will happen in the last days. He answered me and said, I will tell you the interpretation of the vision, and I will also explain to you the things that you have mentioned. As for what you said about those who survived, and concerning those who did not survive, this is the interpretation. The ones who bring peril at the time the one who brings peril at that time will protect those who fall into peril, who has works and faith towards the Almighty. Understand therefore that those who are left are more blessed than those who have died. This is the interpretation of the vision. As for you seeing a man come up from the heart of the sea, this is he whom the Most High has been keeping for many ages, who will himself deliver his creation, and he will direct those who are left. And as for you, seeing the wind and the fire and the storm coming out of his mouth, and as for his not holding a spear or a weapon of war, yet destroying the onrushing multitude that came to conquer him, this is the interpretation. The days are coming when the Most High will deliver those who are on the earth, and bewilderment of mind shall come over those who inhabit the earth. They shall plan to make war against one another, city against city, place against place, people against people, and kingdom against kingdom. When these things take place and the signs occur that I showed you before, then my Son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man coming up out of the sea. Then, when all the nations hear his voice, all the nations shall leave their own lands and the warfare that they have against one another, and the innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as you saw, wishing to come and conquer him. But he shall stand on the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and be made manifest to all people, prepared and built, as you saw the mountain carved out without hands. Then he, my Son, will reprove and assemble nations for their ungodliness. This was symbolized by the storm, and will reproach them to their face with their evil thoughts and the torments with which they are to be tortured, which was symbolized by the flames, and will destroy them without efforts by the means of the law, which was symbolized by the fire. And as for you, seeing him gather himself another multitude that was peaceable, these are the 9 tribes that were taken away from their own land into exile in the days of King Hoshea, whom Shalmaziah, king of the Assyrians, made captive, and he took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go up to a more distant region where no human beings have ever lived, so that they at least might keep their statutes that they had not kept in their own land. And they went up by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River. For at that time the Most High performed signs for them, and stopped the channels of the river until they had crossed over. Through that region there was a long way to go, a journey of 1.5 years, and that country is called Arasareth. And they lived there until the last times. And now, when they are about to come again, the Most High will stop the channels of the river again, so that they may be able to cross over. Therefore you saw a multitude gathered together in peace. But those who are left of your people, who are found within my holy borders, will be saved. Therefore, when he destroys the multitude of the nation that are gathered together, he will defend the people who remain. And then he will show them many wonders. I said, O sovereign Lord, explain this to me. Why did I see a man coming up from the heart of the sea? And he said to me, just as no one can explore or know what is in the depth of the sea, so no one on earth can see my Son or those who are with him except in the time of his day. This is the interpretation of the dream that you saw. Brothers and sisters, oh my goodness. So this is clearly talking about Yeshua Jesus Christ and the people being kept in this land that is hidden, okay? And they're going to be revealed in their day. This is amazing. It talks about how they went up in the Euphrates River, the narrow passage, and Father stopped the channels of the water so that they could go through, and then put the waters back, and they're protected from there. This is amazing. So this is 2 Esdras chapter 13. Please go and watch it for yourself, or read it for yourself. This is absolutely amazing. Okay, so, this describes here, that he it says in Revelation 20 that the fire of God will come down and destroy them, those that are going up against, up against the camp of the saints. But chapter 13 here in 2nd Esdras explains this in a more elaborate, more elaboration. So, brothers and sisters, I pray this blessed you as much as it has me. I just had to bring this across to you and show you and share this with you, because this is incredible. So much stuff. And I think, the books of Daniel, how he said, shut the book, Daniel, and it's going to be sealed into the time of the end. I truly think this is it. I truly think the books are being unsealed now, and we're starting to have understanding, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and who are really seeking the kingdom of heaven. I think this is all coming, to fruition now and understanding. So this is absolutely amazing. So like I said in my last video, people freak out when we talk about the millennial reign already being, and, Matthew 24, the time of tribulation's already been. Brothers and sisters, that doesn't matter. Okay, what matters now is that we are so close to the end, that this is why I think these revelations are being revealed now, is because we have to come out of that falseness, that false narrative that we've been taught for the deception of the nations. We have to come out of that. So, I just thought I'd share that with you. And, this whole solar eclipse that is rising in the west and setting in the east, the pole shift, the new ages have been going on about this pole shift, and the sun, the solar flares and all this kind of stuff. And this is amazing. We might be closer than we first believed. There may be no rapture, so to speak, but that doesn't matter, because as I just read to you, we are going to go through the peril, but we're also going to be kept safe from it. And, this is exciting. This is really exciting. So again, I hope this has blessed you. Go read it for yourself. 2nd Esdras, chapter 13. I'm going to get back and read the whole 2nd Esdras again, because this is literally one of my favourite books. And yeah, I pray that it becomes one of yours too. It's got lots of wonderful things about the signs of the end and all these kinds of things. All right, brothers and sisters, I'll leave you with that. I need to go to bed, but I just thought I'd bring this to you. And again, if you haven't seen my last video that I did, it's over here on Odyssey. And it's NASA's budget to fund weapons to come against the holy city. The alien invasion is the New Jerusalem. The lie is massive. So yeah, you can get that link on my previous video to watch this, because there's a video at the end, and it talks about the JEWs. Basically it's horrific. The truth is just, the truth is so deceptive. All right. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. I love you. God bless you. May the Father bless you. May the Son bless you. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.